from Ian Cooper Metals.
Right, thank you very much, and thank you for those who've stayed around for the last session. So we're Australian-based copper gold explorer with our flagship project in the Mt Isa region. Today's presentation has been overshadowed somewhat by our market update this morning. So we released an update to the market about our diamond drilling that's currently going on at Brumby Ridge, and where the initial diamond drilling holes have not confirmed our geological model. And the market didn't like that so much, but here I am to tell you about Brumby Ridge and what we're doing about that, and hopefully we can turn that around. But we're not just Brumby Ridge, we've got a whole swag of targets, at least 50 in the pipeline at our Mt Isa project, and we've got 1,600 square kilometres of tenements in that area. So a little corporate snapshot, we've got about 80 million shares on issue, and we've got about $5 million in the bank where we just recently did a capital raising, and we're quite tightly held. Our biggest shareholders are Lau Resource Fund and also Iwella, and those shareholders are still firmly behind us. They're on the board for the whole copper gold story in the Mt Isa region, which I believe Mt Isa region is the most prospective copper gold province in Australia. So the board, there's a board of three. Michael is a geologist and a chartered accountant of about 30 years experience. Myself, a geologist with 30 years experience, and Tim, who's a institutional financial advisor as well. So at Mt Isa Copper Gold Project, you've got Mt Isa there on the left-hand side of the slide there. We've got a tenements of about 1,600 square kilometres within 50 to 100 kilometres of Mt Isa itself. Now, there's 5 main reasons why we think this is a really good project. One, we've got a large project area. Our neighbours around us include Carnaby Resources, Hammer Metals, Harmony Gold. Harmony Gold is trying to develop the Eva deposit in the region. It's a strong mining district. You know, there's many mines in the area. Mt Isa, Eloise, Ernest Henry, True North. And a lot of emerging miners too, like Carnaby as well, and Harmony Gold. We had a discovery drill holes late last year at Brumby Ridge, which I'll talk about obviously, and I'll talk about our exploration growth strategy in the region. So Brumby Ridge, late last year, we were drilling under some old workings in the area where we did have some geochemical anomalism in the soils, and we got a number of standout holes, including 71 metres at 2.8% copper. You can see that on the plan here that those holes were drilled across the northwesterly structure, and you can see the geochemical anomaly is about 400 metres long and about 100 metres wide. Once we finished that drilling late last year, we then went back early this year and did some geophysics, and we did an IP survey over that area. So what we did was we did 4 survey lines over that area, 100 metres apart. You can see the drill hole traces on one of those sections there. And all those 4 lines came up with a chargeability response. So often sulphide mineralisation will give you a chargeability response. And the reason we did that is because we didn't have too many drill holes by the end of last year. So we wanted to get some confirmation from the geophysics to see what the dip of the mineralisation was and what strength it was. So there's a good chargeability response, and it goes down to around 200 metres, and it indicates that it's a vertically dipping body. So if you look at the slide on the left, we've got the main drill hole, which had 71 metres in it, going through the centre of the chargeability anomaly there. So that all made perfect sense to us. The drill hole above, which is hole 29, that didn't get much mineralisation, but it is outside of the chargeability response. So the mineralisation starts at about 50 metres below surface. The idea with the diamond drilling was to do scissor holes through that section to get some good geological structural information from the diamond core so that we could get confirmation Also, the section to the south, you can see there a similar chargeability anomaly. There was a hole right up near surface. We didn't get much mineralisation, but it's also outside of the chargeability anomaly, and some scissor holes are planned there. They will be drilled within the next 2 weeks. So I've just come back from Mt Isa. I've spent the last week there looking at the results. We've done 3 diamond holes to date for about 753 metres. It's a little bit hard to see on this plan. The laser's working. So there's these darker lines here are the diamond holes. The yellow and the red are the RC holes that we drilled late last year. So the diamond holes drilled across this section, and what we intercepted was around 1 to 3 metres of visual sulphide. So we don't have any assays back as yet. And we hit a quartz carbonate vein with laminated chalcopyrite and pyrite through that. The portable XRF and the visual assays didn't indicate that there was a strong breccia zone, which is what we were expecting from the RC drilling that we did last year. So if we look at a section through the centre there, you can see the original hole that got 71 metres at 2.8%. The diamond holes came down nearby to that, so a similar orientation. They're within about 10 to 15 metres of that, and they hit a narrow vein of mineralisation. We also hit that with the scissor hole down deep, and you can see the core trays there, the quartz carbonate zone. Now that's a really quite distinctive zone, and when you see that in RC chips, what you see is white chips with sulphide mineralisation associated with it. What we saw in this hole was actually dark rock with dark sulphide, fine sulphide throughout it. So we haven't actually hit that zone yet in the diamond drilling. So what's actually happening and what are we doing about it? If I go back to the plan, one idea is at the moment we just have to get more data points with the drilling to understand what the orientation of the mineralisation may be. And once we get that orientation of the mineralisation, we can assess the tonnes and grade potential at Brumby Ridge and see if it's still got any real potential left to it. If it doesn't, then we'll be moving on quickly to our other targets, and we have several other targets to test as well. One of those is the Raven Copper Gold Prospect. So we did some extensive airborne EM surveys over the last 2 years. Some of these copper gold prospects have pyrrhotite associated with them, so they're ISCG style of mineralisation, and they respond well to electromagnetic surveys. Raven was one of those, so it was a VTEM anomaly. We checked that out on the ground and got some gossan. We followed that up with some drilling, and you can see we've got some good economic intercepts of around 15 metres at 1%, 10 metres at 1.3. All of those hits within 100 metres of surface. And what that's delineated is a plunging chute. So this is a long section looking down the main vein of Raven, and you can see that where we've actually drilled the holes to date, these solid lines here, the red outline is the copper gold mineralisation. We then followed that up with what they call downhole EM surveys, and what's that showing us is that there is a narrow modelled plate. The geophysicist has done a model of this and decided there's a conductor that's quite narrow, but next to it there is a larger plate EM model here. So we're going to target this area. It looks like this plunging chute should continue for at least another 100 metres, and we have about 600 metres of drilling planned to chase that plunging chute. So we're quite excited about this prospect. Now the Brumby Ridge area itself, there's a massive northwesterly trending structure through here. You've got Brumby Ridge there. We've got Raven sitting here, Mayfield Sweat sitting here. All these prospects are within 10 kilometres of each other. And our idea is to try and get a cluster of deposits within 10 kilometres of each other that may be toll treated potentially or could be standalone operations themselves. Mayfield Sweats was an interesting one. We've put 3 holes into that. It's a combined geochem and geophysical anomaly. The 3 holes we've done from surface have just intersected the oxide zone. So, for instance, we've got 65 metres at 0.3% there. They're fairly low grades, but that's the oxide material near surface. Those holes ended in mineralisation. So what that copper must be coming from somewhere. We believe it's coming from a sulphide source. So we'll be doing some deeper holes underneath that to test that theory. Just up from Mayfield West South is another prospect, Mayfield West North, and it's about 2 kilometres to the north, and it's a bit of a look-alike. So it's got a long geochem anomaly that we've delineated through soils. There's some old workings there, and there's also a shallow EM anomaly. So we'll be drilling that in the first half of this year as well. So over the last 2 years, we're only a young company. We've been there for 2 field seasons. We've been building a pipeline of targets through our 1,600 square kilometres of tenure. We've got some strong VTEM anomalies up towards the north of our tenure near the Barbara deposit. The Barbara deposit's a 5 billion tonne copper gold mine that was mined about a decade ago. So we've been doing that through a combination of airborne geophysics, on-ground geophysics, and just basically boots on ground geochemistry, mapping, soil sampling, etc. And we're doing scout drilling, testing clusters of targets through the year. We've recently picked up some ground near Cloncurry. We call it the Irindi project. So we've got 2 tenements there, about 100 square kilometres, not far from the Eloise mine. Now this area is interesting because it's undercover, so there's no outcropping rock, and so it's really geophysically driven. And what we're looking for there are ISCG, or iron sulphide copper gold deposits. The Jericho deposit, was discovered not long ago by an EM survey, and there's a number of occurrences of copper gold that occur on this Mount Norma quartzite and Tool Creek volcanics. And our tenements here have quite a prospective area of that, and also along this contact here with the mafics and the Mount Norma quartzite. So the Mount Norma quartzite is quite a brittle rock, and where you get a contact with another lithology, you can get fracturing occurring, and that's a good place for copper gold mineralisation to form. So the target or the strategy here is to do ground EM. If we get a good anomaly, then we'll be drill testing that this year as well. Just lastly on our WA project, so we do have a Guru copper gold project. It's about 400 kilometres to the north of Perth, and it's near the Silver Lakes deflector mine. So that Silver Lakes deflector mine has about 1.2 million ounces of gold. It's quite high grade gold. I believe this is a really underexplored greenstone belt. It's part of the Gulliver greenstone belt in WA, and we've got about 26 kilometres of greenstone through here. Some of that is undercover. Now what we've done since we've had it, we've done some detailed airborne magnetics. We've also done some detailed mapping and some geological, soil sampling through the area. Now that's generated 5 anomalous areas. The best one having 2.5 grams per tonne gold in rock chips in a mafic at surface. So the next step here is really to go out there and do some air core drilling in the areas of cover, and also to do some RC drilling on these gold targets. We've spent quite a lot of time getting some experts in to help map out the geology with the use of the magnetics and look at the real sort of plumbing systems where these gold deposits are more likely to occur. So that's an exciting area. So we'll be drilling that one later this year. Just briefly on our ESCG. So we do take our license to operate very, very seriously, and we do that through a number of ways, like try and reduce our environmental footprint with airborne geophysics, etc. And we're very on top of our rehabilitation of our drill holes, etc. going forward. Our stakeholder engagement is very good. Our landowners are very easy to work with. The native title people up there are also very easy to work with, and we often employ Kalkadoon field assistants in our team. In the community, we've spent a lot of money over the last couple of years, $2 million each year on exploration in the Mt Isa region. So really the key takeaways are that, we're drilling at Brumby Ridge. We're going to put some more holes to try and resolve what the orientation of the mineralisation it is, and assess that quickly, and then move on to our other targets. We've got over 50 targets in this 1,600 square kilometres of tenure. We've recently raised money, so we've got 5 million in the bank. We won't be going back to the market for a long time. And like, you know, if any new shareholders came in today, you've done well. And any of your older shareholders, hang in there and wait for some good news. It's coming. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ian. And that wraps up our event. And we very much